Good evening and welcome to the Speaker MC Show. Tonight we are talking about marrying the angry man, how hurt people hurt people. And we have some fascinating guests tonight. Yes, it's going to be a riveting discussion because we have the incomparable Nikki Morgan from Touch Experience, as well as the uncomparable Dr. Pamela Yewong she's also an acupuncturist and practitioner from Mafa Holistic. Yes, and of course, you have me, your host, and you'll be meeting our guests pretty later on in the show. So as I said, we're talking about marrying the angry man, how hurt people hurt people. And if this is your first time on the Speaker MC Show, well, this is what you can expect. You hear that luscious rain falling? Yes, we're out in the tropics. Yeah, believe me. Tonight we're going to have an overview of the show, and then we're going to pause for a little break and then come back and say hello to our guests, and we're going to dive deep into our discussion. Then we're going to pause, and then you can have a Q&A to meet our guests and ask them anything you wish, and then we'll say so long. So here's our intro and our overview. Who really is the angry man? You know, the guy that keeps saying, it's your fault, it's not mine, or why are you so stupid? How many of us women have heard those words before? And why are they so damn angry? Why are they hurt? Have they been cheated on? Have they been disrespected? Or have they themselves been physically abused? Now, is it better that they repress this anger or control this anger? What do they do with this anger? Well, it has an impact, If you don't control it, if you repress it for too long, it shows up in our health. It shows up in how we react with our children and even how we react on the job. And how do we control it? Yoga, work out your favorite pastime. Yeah, we could do those things. Let's see if they will even help. So, like I said, if this is your first time on the Speaker MC Show, what you can expect from us is 60 minutes of riveting, candid conversation. There's no script. And we're talking about how we relate as humans to ourselves, to our environment, and to others. Because the Speaker MC Show is all about relationships. And our intention is for our audience to feel a little more empowered than when they came here, a little bit more enlightened about creating harmonious environments and boosting their self-confidence. And for our guests, we provide an alternate platform of opportunity so that they too can share their message. And of course, for everyone, it's all about the fun, baby. So now we're going to take a little pause for the cause, and here is a word from our sponsor.
And now a word from our sponsor. Are you stressed out? That pile of bills have you feeling fearful? Are you that single mom who needs a break? Well, as a single mom, you need time for yourself. You need periodic stress boosters. They're necessary so that you can bring happy back to your life. Javita has a solution where you can reduce the stress and find time for yourself. It's 42 days to mindset rejuvenation for single moms. Yes, 42-day mindset rejuvenation. Check it out at www.javitaNmiller.com or give her a call at 540-412-8406. Ask Javita. It's 42 days to devise a plan with personal mentoring for you to get back to happy. Let Javita mentor you. Connect with her. www.JavitaNmiller.com. That's www.JavitaNmiller.com or 540-412-8406. Remember, connect with her at www.JavitaNmiller.com or 540-412-8406. Yeah, Let her help you to get back to happy.
Okay. So, welcome back to the Speaker MC Show. Hope you enjoyed that little rendezvous with Javita and Miller. We are talking about marrying the angry man, and you are here on the Speaker MC Show where it's all about relationships. So now we're going to meet our guests. Yes, we have two ladies who are, they're friends of the show, first and foremost, and they're both sexologists and acupuncturists and in the sexual realm. So this is going to be very, very interesting because I think they're going to go a little bit below the epidermis. Yes, and it's going to be lots of fun, lots and lots of fun. Our first guest is Dr. Pamela Yewong Hall. Dr. Hall is of the Baltimore, Maryland area, and her area of expertise as a licensed acupuncturist, she's also a tantrist. Yeah, she's a tantrika. Yes. If you didn't know, you better ask somebody. Dr. Pamela Hall is a doctor of Oriental medicine and licensed acupuncturist in the state of Maryland and the Grand Trine certified Tantra instructor. She is also the proud mother of 3 and the founder of Mafa Holistic and Pamela Hall Inc., where she operates them both in the Baltimore, Maryland region. Please put your hands together and say a warm welcome to Dr. Pamela Hall. Hi, Dr. Pam.
Great rising, beautiful people. Great rising. It's always a humble pleasure on the S.W.E.L.L. show with the Speaker MC. Phenomenal, Marcia. Always a pleasure. And Queen Nikki, yes.
Yes, and Queen Nikki, as she so aptly introduced. Well, thank you for that, Dr. Yewong. Queen Nikki is the Touch Experience operating out of Brooklyn, New York. Well, I think she's bi-coastal now. Well, I don't know if you would call it bi-coastal, bi-eastern coastal. Brooklyn, New York, and from Maryland. She's a clinical sexologist and sexual energy cultivation and pain alleviation specialist. Yes, that's a whole mouthful. Wait till you hear her. She's more than a mouthful too. Nikki Morgan is a certified clinical sexologist, Reiki practitioner, and sexual shaman who provides holistic and interactive solutions for beings who are seeking to enhance, to heal, to expand, and or reclaim their sexual health, their pleasure, their spirituality, and vitality via sexual energy cultivation, including the popular staple, the touchless orgasm. I bet you never knew that could happen, the touchless orgasm. Yeah, well, you better find out. You better call Queen Nikki. She also continues to coach thousands of beings of all genders. That is so true. All genders, all orientations, all cultural backgrounds, where her private session retreats, theater shows, experiential events with practical ways of understanding sexual energy and how it can affect our emotional well-being, our prosperity, our mental and physical health, as well as our relationships. Yes, you better get some coaching from Dr. Nick, shaman, sexual shaman, Queen Nikki. That's right. Nikki, welcome to the Speaker MC Show. So happy to have you here.
Greetings, greetings. Thank you so much for having me. I am in such deep gratitude to be amongst Miss Goddess Pamela Hall and the great Marcia, the MC. You all wield such amazing magic, and thank you for having me tonight.
Well, thank you both for being here and gracing the stages of the Speaker MC Show. And in case you're wondering, who's that woman with a hat? Well, that's me. I am your host, Speaker MC, aka Marcia Chambers. Yeah, but we go by Speaker MC. I'm a speaker and sexual wellness consultant whose area of expertise is working with women who are just lonely in their relationships. Yeah, I help them to get back from sexless to steamy, because my mission is to reduce the world's divorce rate by 50%. And that's why I created S.W.E.L.L for women, because I saw people exchanging DNA and not asking the right questions beforehand. Then they're subjecting the rest of us to all their traffic jams and, road rage and all this dysfunction, discourteous customer service. My message focuses on women having better sex and intimacy so that they're better partners and better parents. And it's through this sexual competence that they give themselves permission to be sensual and begin to lead empowered lifestyles. As a speaker, I host both virtual and live events, podcasts, radio, TV shows, in an effort to positively impact and shift the paradigm in adult women about sex and female sexuality. Yeah, that's why I do it. You heard it here first. Well, now that we have met our guests and we have met each other, I want to bring to the table the discussion about marrying the angry man, how hurt people hurt people. And I know as women, I speak with women all the time, and 80 to 90% of us have been in some kind of abusive relationship. We're hurt physically, emotionally, financially, spiritually. Yeah, and it's not good. But why does that happen? Who are these angry men that we keep aligning ourselves with? They're yelling at us and cursing at us and, bringing all this sarcasm to the table. This gentleman, Tony Gaskins, he's a motivational speaker and he's an author and a life coach. He said, a man knows what type of woman he can disrespect. If you are being disrespected, but all you do about it is cry or argue and stay in the relationship, then you're the type he knows that he can disrespect. Yeah, because these angry men, they're disrespectful, they're threatening, they're demeaning. And how does it show up? Well, the person in the receiver's role, they now have low self-esteem, or they become overreactive to every little thing, or they get depressed. And when this anger is not controlled, it could also show up physically. Clenched fists, throwing things, hitting a wall. But why all the anger? In Psychology Today in November 2017, an article, it quotes, a leading cause of anger is a person's environment. Stress, financial issues, abuse, poor social or familial situations, and overwhelming requirements on your time and energy can all contribute to the formation of anger. And who sees this anger? Well, survey says 1 in 3 women, and notwithstanding that it's women, there's also men who are subjected to this. 1 in 4 men. They have been the victims of physical violence by an inmate or by a partner. An inmate, an intimate. Woo! And the impact on your health, when we become angry, the autonomic nervous system is aroused. And as the anger persists, it affects other areas of our body's system. The cardiovascular, the immune system, the digestive, and the central nervous systems. And now that anger may increase the chances of a stroke, heart disease, gastric ulcers, and even bowel diseases. And what about the children? There's so many children that get subjected to this kind of anger, displaced anger. Your kids may be at risk from the uncontrolled outbursts and the erratic behavior. And what about at work? Yeah, you're festering all this anger, whether it's from the corporate policies or from your home life, and it's not taken care of. And then there are outbursts. Survey also says, the domestic violence statistics in 2016 says a woman is beaten every 9 seconds in the US. that was 9 seconds. A woman was just beaten. Let that just resonate with you. And then these hurt, angry people who are subjected to all this hurt, they in turn hurt people. Erratic behaviors. What's with all the road rage? Yeah, you ever thought where the root or the genesis of that was? It is noted that in 2001 to 2012, there were 6,400 soldiers killed in 2 wars, Afghanistan and Iraq, 2 wars. But the same period, between 2001 to 2012, 11,766 women were murdered by their lovers or their ex-lovers. And in 1980 to 2008, men had just started talking about their abuse. 5.1% of those men were murdered by their lovers or their ex-lovers. 85% of these domestic abuse victims are women, and 15% are men. That's disgusting. Too many women have been held captive by domestic violence, physical, financial, emotional abuse, or a combination of all 3. And the number one reason for domestic violence survivors to stay or return to the abusive relationship is because the abuser controls the purse strings, the money supply, leaving them no other financial resources to break free. Now, is that an excuse, or we'll delve with that? But these people are so angry, they could explode. So what's the solution? Live without the anger? Let it go? How do you do that? So tonight, we're going to discuss who are these angry men? What's the impact on us and on others? And how can we do better? I'm going to stop the share, and we're going to invite our guests to just let's mull over this topic and what could actually be the reason behind all this anger. Dr. Yewong, are you around? Oh, what happened? I see her hair.
Looks like she dropped off.
Oh, unmute. Dr. Yewong. She's on mute. So Nikki, let's start the discussion.
Sure.
What do you think these men, and you know, the topic is angry men, right? And I realize that there are angry women also, but every 9 seconds, a woman gets beaten. So let's just focus on the sisterhood for now. Why are there so many angry men? And we're talking heterosexual situations, but that's not only predominant to heterosexual situations either.
No, it's not.
Right?
Not at all. Not at all. And frankly, I mean, a lot of those reasons, even whether we're focusing on women or not, the reasons are pretty similar. If we're talking about in general the masculine, you know, we're also talking. If we're talking about energetically, we're talking about a society that does not allow them to purge their emotions healthily. So at some point, generationally, or even if it's not generationally, just in that one lifetime, there are things that can build up that can be any number of things, chemically, emotionally. Sometimes it literally is just not being able to purge.
So they're repressing the anger. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. The repression is very deep. You know, men are taught that you know, you are not to cry. You know, you're taught to you know, the man has to handle these things. And while it is and the reverse of that in this patriarchal society that we're unwinding now is that and the female, the woman in a heterosexual relationship is there to to be the softness, to always be the one to say okay, the one to be all accepting, the one to always keep smiling even when things are not that great. I don't think necessarily anger is the issue. I think it's because anger is an emotion just like any other emotion, and there are places for it. I just believe that when we don't know how to or where to place these emotions and how to respond to them rather than reacting to them, then it can be a huge challenge. And it comes out in these ways, these every 9 seconds. A woman is beaten. And the statistics that you gave on the men, I'm sure, are tremendously low, because it's a shameful thing for men to even voice that they're getting beaten by a woman.
Yeah, they're not speaking up as readily. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure that the percentages are much higher. Mm-hmm. But going back to the why, and assuming that because of conditioning, I mean, we were blamed for all the world's ills when we were born any damn way. We're saying that, because of you picked the apple and you had him eat it, then you get blamed. Religious, right? Religion already blamed us. But even so we are conditioned to be that receptacle of all that energy, repressed energy. Now, the genesis of those energies, that the genesis, there has to be a reason that made that energy kind of bottle up and bottle in. Something had to have happened to that individual, to that male figure, to say, well, yes, I can't release it, and now he's gonna find a punching bag. I mean, they have so many kinds of outlets, athletic sports that could help them. There's boxing. You want a punching bag? Really get a punching bag, right? And I'm saying that because I was a pound cake. I used to be somebody's receptacle. And it turned out that way after the fear and all this was built up in the relationship, way after, I found out that the anger wasn't even with me. No. It was just him lashing out because of something else that happened from his childhood. And he was using me as the new bullseye. So is that going to be the case for everybody, that they're holding on to something from way back in their past and then using us? How do we determine if we are now having a coital relationship or even a non-coital relationship with a person who has those kind of tendencies? What may be the red flags before it gets to that point of the punch?
So, referencing back to your quote from Tony Gaskins, even if we look at it energetically, same stuff. Much of the time, you can know when someone is trying to control you, even if it's in a very subtle way. And
yeah, but some of us think it's cute. Oh, he doesn't like me to do that. Oh, that's so cute.
Right, and we call that chivalry sometimes, and chivalry can be a controlling personality can be disguised as chivalry, and even that, and that also goes into the financial conversation that you mentioned about being afraid to leave, because what do you do about your financial situation because they're holding that financial power? I believe some of those signs, those controlling signs, I think that in the beginning, when we are getting to know someone, if you are allowing yourself to be courted and allowing yourself to indulge in chivalrous behavior, I think that we should be able to engage that without feeling like we have to put everything down. or completely submit to it. Rather observe it and enjoy it, but discern the gifts, discern the behavior. So it's not about, I mean, and so it's okay if they buy you a drink and if you want them to order for you to see maybe how, or how in tune they are with who you are, and if they've been paying attention to your personality, and vice versa. There's nothing wrong with those things. It's just that you have to be able to know and walk with the idea that you can also move independently as well. Or what I like to reference is, I know how to change a tire. I know how to change my oil, but there might be some days that I just don't want to, and it's okay. Just like, it's okay, but allow yourself to remember that you manage your life, not someone else. And I think that's where we tend to get a little lost. And it's completely normal for that in this society, I believe, because women have been, as you said, because of history, we have been stripped from history from the beginning. And so because of that, not only in Puritan beliefs, we're talking about Egyptian statues that faces have been pulled, mashed down. There are kings in ancient Africa that are now later acknowledged that some of these kings were women. So sometimes not having that representation, right. You can fall into the idea of this false confidence being what will lead you.
That's true. And I'm glad that you mentioned about letting your voice be heard, because women tend to feel that, and it goes back to like in the 50s and in the 40s, when women got married, they were no longer that entity, that human being. They were now like the property of that man. So in other words, they are no longer, say, Mrs. They are no longer Nikki Morgan. They are Mrs. Say you married Winston Churchill. They are now Mrs. Winston Churchill. They lose their identity. Yeah. They are no longer themselves. And back in the day, they thought that it was okay to be that way. Oh, there she is. Woo, we were missing you, Dr. Yewong. Sorry about that. We locked the doors for our protection. We end up jailing ourselves.
The walls that protect are the same walls that keep them out. That's
right. That's right. But even so, some of these couples who are going through that level of abuse, whether it's financial, emotional, whatever it is, these are people who are in all facets of life, all echelons of life. It's not just predominant in a lower pay grade, so to speak. You see some women, wives of executives, and they're out to dinner and they have no say. The man orders the wine, he orders their food, tells them when to get up. It's crazy. And so in that situation, are they no longer themselves because they're not allowed? And are they then kept hostage because this man is holding the purse strings?
Pam, do you want to weigh in?
Sure. A lot of times it is just that, they're held hostage. A lot of them are held hostage because the man is holding the purse strings, and they can't afford to leave. They can't afford to leave. I remember seeing a statistic years ago that it takes a woman, like before a woman makes up her mind 5 years to leave before she actually does leave. So it's like she may say in 2000, I'm going to leave, but it may take her until 2005 to actually do it.
Why?
And in between that time, it's because the psychological damage, because they convince the woman that she is nothing without them. She cannot survive on her own. She's incapable of taking care of herself. That no one would want her. I mean, I know so many instances of women, even in religious settings. You know, this topic hits home with me because it's more than different. You know, there are more types of abuse than just physical. You know, you have emotional, psychological, financial, religious settings are like breeding grounds for abuse and domestic violence. And I've observed that the ethics, which always seem to be what the women can't do, seem to have the most abuse.
But,
I remember. Mm-hmm.
But not to interrupt you, I brought up the point about the financial for a reason, because I get it that it disturbs the psyche, but when does it become the point of importance that, hey, I gotta leave this? It's either I'm gonna die or he's gonna die. When does that become the fulcrum, the pivotal point that says, you know, money be damned, I'm gonna make it some kind of way?
For a lot of women, once that abuse starts to leave from them to being deflected onto the children, then a lot of times they'll leave, not so much because they want to save themselves from the abuse, but they want to save their children.
That's a self-confidence. That's also a self-confidence thing, because it's easier, you know, I have a lot of clients that when there's a challenge, and you know, and you're leading with a very heavy feminine spirit, one of the coping mechanisms is to overcompensate through your children. So if you yourself do not understand how to love yourself, you tend to put everything onto the children. So it becomes that switch. It becomes that reason. You know, and so the fear becomes a lesser issue than leaving. The bravery.
But Nikki, what is it doing to them, withstanding all this angst and agita and oppression? What is it doing to that woman? Because can she be the full 100% loving mother that she's supposed to be to her children in that case, in that kind of dynamic? And don't you find that the children are then picking up that burden to protect mom from abusive dad?
Absolutely. Even when we think we're hiding it, we're not hiding it at all. You know, there's effects. You know, you're picking up. So even your cerebral, your neurological, I want to say storyline, it repeats. It repeats. So even if they got out of that situation for whatever reason, if they haven't dealt with this ongoing trauma that they had been receiving this whole time, then it's very, very easy to just choose another partner to do the exact same thing to you. You know, it shifts how we receive pleasure. It shifts our tolerance and what our line is for pain. And those two are actually the same part of your brain. Your pleasure and your pain is the same part. Then of course, your body is in constant emergency. So your adrenaline, you're running on adrenaline probably a lot of the time. So when you're running on adrenaline all the time, your stress factors go up, your cortisol levels go up. You're not able to, you know, your creativity goes down. So even if you want to get away, even if you know you can get away, even if you can create a financial means out of your creativity to get away, and it's right in front of you, you are unable to see that because you are under this kind of stress. So you are physically, biologically unable to even process or put together these puzzle pieces to say, we gotta go.
So when I was in my situation, I was in the service, I was in the military, and I decided to go to some kind of counseling session. And when I went, there were all these women there. Mind you, I had a black eye. I had one black eye. And there were all these other women who were sitting there in consult, and we were sharing. And they were so nonchalant about their injuries. One said, oh, he just threw me down the stairs. Another one said, oh yeah, I was just in the hospital only for 2 weeks. Another one said, oh, I just got a broken nose and a broken rib. And I'm sitting there in disgust. I'm sitting there in, I wouldn't say in awe, I was just flabbergasted that, really? You think that's okay? And I'm here with my little raccoon eye thinking, oh my God, my world is falling down. And these were wives of captains and generals and majors. And they were like, yeah, it happens all the time. This is what he does, you know, and I'm okay with it. How many of those women are now creating that populace of the 11,000 because they're just running on the adrenaline and scared to speak up? Just scared to speak up. So I propose to you, what is it that we can do in that regard when these women are in that situation? And I get it. You can't see the forest for the trees because you're in the fishbowl, you know, and you don't know what to do. What, as sexologists, what as counselors, what as relationship experts, what can you advise our populace who may be going through some kind of dynamic? It might not be to that degree, but they may be seeing the flags like, oh, this could be something here. What can you suggest? Dr. Yewong, you want to take that?
Well, the first thing is that I would suggest talking to someone, going to local shelters. There are women's shelters. There are plenty of support groups. There are resources in every state that are available to women and men who are victims of domestic violence. So no one has to stay. Know that you're not alone. Know that you're not, your situation is not isolated, because sometimes people will feel like, you know, if they've not shared it with anyone, they could feel isolated, that, you know, no one is going through this, or no one will understand, or they may be embarrassed. But don't feel ashamed, and seek help, and don't be afraid to leave. Think about yourself, think about your children if you have them, think about shifting and creating a new paradigm, and being open to treatment, to counseling, to acupuncture. Acupuncture, I tell people, acupuncture does more than just treat at the physical level. It really does help at the psychological and the emotional level. There are points on the body that we call spirit points that do help you to get up and move forward. There are points like, you know, gate of hope, walking on the veranda, that help you to revive your spirit, to revive that part of you that has died, so that you can find the strength to get up and move forward and create a new paradigm shift in your life.
And Nikki, what would you suggest for the women who have come out of that dynamic, but they're still living in that terror cage? What would you suggest that they could do to relieve themselves, so to speak, or to find help?
Well, I know that I always work from a case by case basis, because everyone approaches trauma differently. But I will say that if they are already out of it, They need to spend time first in recentering themselves before they jump back into any kind of relationship.
How do you do that? How do you explain recentering themselves?
Meaning, so I call it a withdrawal period.
Mm-hmm.
You need to find love for yourself in a different way than you have in the past. You have to be able to feel okay with being on your own. And when I say on your own, I don't mean that we cannot lend and have friends and counselors that have dedicated ears. That I think you should have an abundance of. People that you trust, absolutely, 1,000 times yes. But you need a period of time where you can find out what you love, find out what you enjoy, find out what you deserve. You know, these things are things that you have to relearn, rewire what you did before. You know, these are energetic habits that we've created. And when I say created, please don't misunderstand me in saying that anyone deserves that, because that's not it at all. But understanding that once we've made that decision to change, to shift, that's when the real work begins. That's when the scary, scary work begins. Because it means that no, you're not going to focus on, oh my gosh, I have to protect the children. Mm-hmm. Now you really have to dig in on why was I there so long? What's going on with my self-esteem? Where did I learn these habits from? You know, these are things that will help you to recenter. And sometimes we don't even know where to start. Mm-hmm. And, you know, and I know people say, you know, especially when we talk about self-love, they're like, oh, you know, well, do something you like. And even to find what you like is the challenge. Mm-hmm. And people don't understand that because yes, you do. Yes.
And you know why? Because just asking, and this is not just women, just asking someone, name 5 things that make you happy. People are stumped. Like, you don't know what makes you happy? Like, seriously? You can't name 5 things that make you happy? Like, right now? Yeah, so I get you. But you mentioned earlier about the self-esteem, that the self-esteem is now crushed. So if their self-esteem is crushed, they're now blaming themselves for all this happening to them. Even though they've escaped, they're still saying, it's my fault. So how then do we repair that psychological damage?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, no, go ahead.
So I think it first begins with creating a reference for yourself. I think it begins there because there was a point. So we're talking about after you've left, after you've gotten out of it, then there's already an identification. There's already a reference point in saying, I don't deserve that any longer. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. And so in that, holding space for building that new reference, if that makes sense. I'll give you an example. Depression, which many people go through in these situations. They're in it. It's actually a cousin and a sister and a brother of depression, right?
Right.
So, you know, I know for me, while my mind and my body were saying, don't get up, when my mind and my body was saying, you know, this is not good and you're no good and you did this to yourself, you can own, even if you don't believe it right now, you can own in saying that this is right now. That's how I feel right now. That's not how I have to feel tomorrow. That's not how I have to feel a minute from now. We're human beings, so we are in constant. And sometimes in our constants, we believe that whatever we're feeling now will go on forever. So in understanding that's the first thing. In understanding this is just how I feel right now, and I don't have to feel that way in the next moment. The other thing is outside of, sorry, I lost my train of thought. There was another thing that was really important. I was looking at Pam, sorry, and her energy is very loud, so forgive me.
Well, you want us to come back to you then?
Yes, please, it'll come back. Yes, please.
So Dr. Yewong, repairing the psyche after it has gone through all that damage of insecurities and, it's my fault. What would you suggest for women and men? Because we understand that men are also going through this. What would you suggest as part of the recentering that Nikki spoke about?
Well, I'm going to always suggest acupuncture. And that's because, believe it or not, there is a protocol, an acupuncture protocol for depression. There's an acupuncture protocol for anger. There are actual points on the body to help release that. We diagnose that as liver qi stagnation. Someone who's angry and abusive all the time. So, there is acupuncture for everything. But and with that, I would say, like Nikki was talking about, and like you were talking about, tapping into, like, finding out your top 5. And the best way of doing that is getting out there and exploring and associating with different people, stepping outside your comfort zone, going places you've never been, meeting people and associating with people that you might not have associated with before. Even if it's just going somewhere and sitting by a body of water with a book of poetry and reading and becoming one with nature. My grandmother used to tell me when I was a little girl in Mississippi, especially when I would get all anxious and everything, she would say, go plant yourself.
Oh, you told me that. That was the funniest thing.
Hole,
explain that. Yes, please. I love when she says that.
Like, going and planting yourself, grounding yourself, recentering yourself with nature, and giving all of that, allowing nature to just absorb all of that toxic energy, digging a hole big enough to plant both of your feet in, and then covering your feet with the dirt. And then just allowing the earth to just take it all out. And sometimes I would stand there and I would cry. And I could just feel all of it just release. And I would stand there planted. And, and I like the way she phrased it. She didn't say, go bury yourself. She said, go plant yourself. Go plant yourself. Because, bury, you bury things that are dead. But she said, go plant yourself, which created a pattern in my mindset that, I am giving birth to a different way of being, sprouting something new within myself. And get with your body. I tell people, don't be afraid to touch yourself, caress yourself. Find out, sometimes, sometimes I like to kind of feel on my ear a little bit, and it gets me in a certain little place. Sometimes we get so disconnected because we want to appease the abuser so that we won't be on the receiving end of the abuse, that we lose complete contact with ourselves. So learning how to touch yourself, hug yourself. There are times I would sit and literally just hug myself and just rub my own skin, give myself a hug. And, looking at yourself in the mirror, standing butt naked, looking at your naked self in the mirror and just learning to love and speaking affirmative words to yourself. Like, yeah, I love my eyes. They kind of Asian-like, but, I got the little catty thing going on. When I grin, they disappear. But, yeah, I'm feeling myself. And yeah, I got some stretch marks, but they're badges of honor, signs that life came through me 3 times,
right.
And just speaking life to yourself. Some of the things that I used to do when I got out of my marriage was I would write things on my mirror, words of affirmation. because he had told me that I wasn't good for anything but sex, and that no one would ever want me for anything but that I had nothing to offer. And, you know, I was 35 years old with 2 children and a high school diploma, because I had spent my whole life, you know, the time that we were together, which was most of my adult life, catering to him and his whims and his fantasies, and, you know, just everything was about him. And even though he wasn't necessarily physically abusive, he was the type of person that, you know, and I even said this to him a couple of times, like, why don't you just go on and hit me and get it over with? Because he was abusive in that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
It'd be easier.
And so learning how to rediscover yourself, and it's not an easy task, and don't want to, you know, make people think that, you know, you could just sprinkle fairy dust,
right,
and that everything is going to be okay. You know, we're not saying that at all. It's not easy, but it is possible.
Right.
It is possible. And, you know, the environment that I came out of, you know, being taught that the man is the head, and, you know, the woman has to be submissive and obedient in all things. And, you know, they even taught us, the culture that I was in, they taught us that, you know, if our husbands beat us, it was God's will, because God was trying to teach us how to be good wives. And, you know, after a while, I was like, well, you know, I said, well, what if the husband kills his wife? And they were like, well, you know, the word says, blessed are they that die in the Lord. I was like, well, you know, it's God's will. No, these were some bishops. These were some bishops that told me this. Blessed are they that die in the Lord. I was like, well, I tell you what. This was like when I was getting ready to come up out, when I was gathering strength to leave, then it's God's will for me to bust a cap in his tail.
Wow.
But a lot of times it's difficult because of the social conditioning. And we want to be voted off the tribe. Everyone wants to be acceptable and fit in, and you be quiet, because like the women in the group who were married to majors and colonels, you don't want your, you know, to tarnish the image is so great. And so a lot of times, because of the social construct, people stay. But then eventually we have to get to the point where our survival means far more than the reputation that we think we have.
Yes, 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 yes.
We can create a new identity, a true identity.
Exactly. So, you know, what I hear you ladies saying is that you first have to make the choice. You have to make the choice that you deserve more than this, that you are enough. And it's good that you can leave and you can be you in your own existence. But you have to make that choice. You have to make that choice. Because...
And that you're worthy.
And that what?
Worthy.
And that you're worthy.
That you're worthy. Absolutely. 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 So ladies, I think we have berated this topic enough. We talked about acupuncture. We talked about depression, how this adrenaline, this high adrenaline, this constant state of fear, it manifests in all kinds of forms, and depression is one. And acupuncture can take care of the oh Lord, I lost my train of thought. Acupuncture can take care of the depression as well as take care of the over fear. And
the anger.
Yeah. So, and that we need as women and men to speak up and take hold of our voices, put our voices in the space for whatever it is that we want. And chivalry, notwithstanding, it's not dead, but discern the difference, whether it's just a charismatic being over, you know, over protective, over controlling, over discern what the parameters are. and take hold of you. So yeah, thank you so much. And I guess we can do that with yoga and meditation. That those are two, and acupuncture.
Also, you can also use that your orgasmic space as well. That's a very big one, because orgasm is actually a very potent version of meditation. And when you're getting all the boosts of your serotonin, your dopamine, your endorphins, and your oxytocin, it actually will help your brain to rewire itself.
Exactly.
And with those affirmations that Pamela was talking about, I actually used to do that. I used to write them on my wall in like gold ink. So when I woke up in the morning, that's the first thing I saw across my wall. And so even if you are stimulating an arousal or orgasm with some of these affirmations, just like how you can get a song stuck in your head, you can start to rewire yourself to really ground in that.
It's so funny how we're so intertwined, because I have on all of my mirrors, I am enough. I am enough. And I masturbate to that. I am enough.
Yeah, that's real.
I am enough. I am enough.
Touch yourself.
Yes.
Touch yourself.
Touch all over. Even when you just take a shower, you're lotioning your skin. Just appreciate the softness, the suppleness of your skin, and just, love your body. Yeah. That's what we encourage our audience to do. So ladies, go ahead, Nikki. You were going to say.
Because I know that the looking in the mirror can also be a huge feat for some people. So if you want to start, I would suggest that at the very least, when you start to look in the mirror, just observe your thoughts and practice not having any critical words to say to yourself first. And if you can get past that part, then you can start to acknowledge and start to build from there.
Absolutely.
That's one of probably my hardest exercises that people have to do. Standing in the mirror, it's a very it's a large challenge for all cultures.
Yeah. That's true. That's very true. Real talk. So ladies, we want to know a little bit more about you, your business, what you're doing. You have any upcoming events that we could connect with you? Where can we connect with you on social media? Who wants to go first?
Pamela, you want to?
Okay, well, I'm the social media baby in the group. So
you're doing great.
She always does fabulous. I don't know why she tells herself that. You are enough, girl.
I am enough. I am enough. And I always like to rub the top of my breast when I say that.
Is that chakra thing going on?
Massage that heart chakra up. Like,
That's right. So, what's going on with Mafa Holistic, Dr. Pam?
Well, they can, my website, mafaholistic.com, M as in Mary, A, F as in Frank, A, HOLISTIC, mafaholistic.com. They can also follow me on Instagram at Dr. Yewong, DRYEWONG, Dr. Yewong. They can email me at yewong68@gmail.com. Also, second weekend in July, the registration will determine the location. So people had to hit me up. The second weekend in July, we're looking at having a genital reflexology class. So yeah.
Oh, I love those. Okay, that's awesome. The kidneys, the heart. I love it.
Yes. Where will this be?
This is going to be in Baltimore, Maryland.
How they get the information?
I'm going to be posting stuff. They have to follow me on Dr. Yewong on Instagram to get the information. But it's only $147 per person, and they can send those payments to PayPal at Yewong68@gmail.com.
Yewong. Yeah, here it is right here. Yewong68@gmail.com. And can they call you as well?
Yes, at 443-824-3487. 443-824-3487. If I don't answer right away, 9 times out of 10, I'm treating a patient, but I will get back to you. The best way to get a quick response is through text message.
All right, you heard it here, ladies and gentlemen. Text her at 443-824-3487 to find out where in the second weekend in July. So the second weekend in July is the 14th, July 14th. Is that correct?
Yes.
Or 13th, 14th, 15th, right?
Yes, it'll be that Saturday.
Or it'll be the Saturday. Okay, so it's just one day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Saturday, July 14th, it's a genital reflexology in Baltimore, Maryland. Hit her up on Instagram or text her at 443-824-3487. That's Dr. Pamela Yewong Hall. And yeah, I know it will be fabulous.
And it's only $147 per person.
$147 per person. I forgot the most important part.
We will have a live male model. Yes. Still working on a live female model, but we will have a live male model for us. So.
Oh, are they going to show how? Oh, ow.
Way to do genitals, I would imagine.
Ow. Ooh, ow. Yes. Well, thank you, Dr. Yewong, and thank you so much for coming to the Speaker MC Show today. We really enjoyed your input and your engagement. I hope you had fun as well.
Always a pleasure.
Okay. Now, Nikki.
Yes.
Hey, Nikki, you're so fine. You're so fine. You blow my mind. Hey, Nikki, what's going on with the touch experience?
You gotta add the clap to it. So many Nikki songs. So there's a Nikki. There's a few Nikkis. But I am inviting everyone to a Central Escape. That will be happening in Pennsylvania, October 26th through October 28th. Mm-hmm. And we are doing, so basically we're taking over the Woodlands. So we're going to do, we're going to have orgasm workshop, touchless and non-touchless for all genders. We'll be doing that. We'll have free breakfast. We're also doing a pajama party. We're doing a 90s costume party. We're going to have sex talk by our 17,000-gallon jacuzzi. And we'll also have entertainment. And private sessions are absolutely available to you. So again, that's going to be October 26th through the 28th. And, so hold your rooms early. It'll go quickly because we're taking over the spot. It's going to be really beautiful. It's a Friday through a Sunday. And if you want more details, you can go to thetouchexperience.com. That's where you can hold your room. Once again, that's thetouchexperience.com, all spelled out. Or you can feel free to call me 323-207-0959. And just like Miss Goddess Pam, if you do not receive me right away, that is only because I am in a session. Or you can follow me on Nikki Experience for all the social media outlets. That would be Instagram, Nikki Experience, that's Nikki Experience, again, all spelled out, EXPERIENCE, one word, Nikki Experience, on Instagram, on Twitter, on, and you can even use it as a search for Facebook.
All right. And how much is that?
For the entire weekend, it's $600.
Okay.
So that's 2 nights, 3 days. And you'll be getting breakfast, again, the workshops, the sex talk, and there's quite a few other things that we have going on.
All right. Yes. And this is in October in the Woodlands. Where's the Woodlands?
It's in Pennsylvania. It's actually really close to Philly. It's Wilkes Barre. And Yeah, and we are doing a beach day this weekend. If if we're talking about body positivity, I do a beach body weekend that's happening. We're doing it all through the summer, but we're kicking off this Saturday at Gunnison. You can look for the purple flag with my face on it. Join us. It's about body positivity. Don't tell me that you don't have a beach body, because everybody on the beach has a beach body. And it's all different cultures. Our community is super sex positive, super body positive. And just because you're new does not mean you're having sex. There's no sex on the beach. This is about body positivity. So please come share. Let the sunlight nourish all of those body parts that you've been hiding. It's and the grounding as well, or as I know Pam called it plant yourself.
Plant yourself.
And scientists have just now kind of caught on to it, and they're calling it earthing. And again, it's the same thing. It ionizes the body. It releases stress. It lowers cortisol. It does so many things. So you'll be able to do that while you're there too. Please come.
Absolutely. Well, I love that. Love, love, love that. Well, in case you're wondering, Nikki, I so thank you for gracing our stages tonight. And I really, really appreciate all the information that you shared. And I hope that you gleaned as much from us as we gleaned from you. So thank you, Goddess. And please make sure you come back, ladies. Make sure you come back. Woo-hoo!
We'll definitely be back.
And with me, I'll be hosting my champagne and chocolates conversations. And this month, the end of June, I'll be hosting it in the Richmond, Virginia area. So if you or anyone close to you are in the Richmond, Virginia area, please step forward. We'll be drinking champagnes and eating chocolates, the dark chocolates. And we'll be having a lot of talk about sex. We're talking about the Hairy Bank NA, that your financial life is a direct reflection of your sex life. Real talk. You want tickets? The tickets can be had at bit.ly/champagne-chocolate-VA. That's bit.ly champagne-chocolate-VA. The tickets are $27, and it's just a seat deposit. You'll get it back as long as you show up. Just show up. Yeah, we'll be having a lot of fun. And we're also having Pure Romance. We'll be having a demonstration by one of our affiliates, Pure Romance by Javita. So she'll be there showing off these sex toys, and we'll be talking about these sex toys as well. The Hairy Bank NA, your financial life is a direct reflection of your sex life. Get your tickets at bit.ly/champagne-chocolate-VA. And stay tuned for any other champagne and chocolate conversations, because we'll be doing them throughout the year at various locations. You can hit me up on Tumblr, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram at speak2MC. That's speak2MC. Don't be shy. Connect. We long to hear from you. So we also, part of the SpeakerMC Show, we also feature some of our guests or friends to the show. This lady is having, well, the 16th of June, I think that was this past weekend, but she had a Rising with the Summer, a Goddess event in Washington, D.C., and this was her link on Eventbrite. It's about meditation, herbal tea, and dialogue, paint her, womb sauna, vegan food, all prizes. Yeah, you can reach out to her on Eventbrite at the Rising Summer Goddess. Also, this gentleman has a Ordinary People with Extraordinary Relationship. He had a workshop in Sacramento, California. His name is Brian Avery. Tips for a healthy family journey. You can reach out to him by calling 916-834-0292 or email Brian at respectologynow.com. So our next show on the Speaker MC Show will be about the new divorce. Yeah, how many people are in these gray marriages? You know what a gray marriage is? You're staying because of the kids or because, and it's so unhealthy. Well, we're going to be talking about the new divorce. Some spring cleaning that needs to be done in the summer. So don't forget to connect with us on Speak2MC and subscribe to our YouTube channel at the SMC Show, bit.ly/SMC Show. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you all for being here. We hope that you had as much fun as we did in presenting you this discussion. I told you it would be riveting. Remember that the more anger towards the past that you carry in your heart is the less capable you are of loving in the present. And my favorite lady, my favorite quote to end our show is from Maya Angelou. But before we end our show, I just wanted to say, ladies, thank you so much again for being here with us on the Speaker MC Show. And I hope you had a good time. Did you have fun?
Always.
Yes.
Always.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely.
Will you be back?
Yeah.
As always as you have me.
All right. All right. That's what I love to hear. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I hope you will be back as well, because I've learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And we hope we made you feel warm and fuzzy here tonight. So on that note, good night and see you next time. Bye.